Practice is defined as to perform an activity or exercise a skill repeatedly in order to maintain or improve one's proficiency. My fellow musicians out there are so many paths to achieve your goals as a musician, but in my opinion, there are a few paths that are slightly more efficient than others. I've seen many great musicians add just a little bit of structure to their practice routine and achieve their goals in half the time they did if they would not have had a plan. And it all starts with number one. And that's a good warm-up. Just like when you exercise, you're priming your body for what's about to happen. I like to think of a warm-up kind of like a systems check. Many warm-up routines include long tones, slow scales, rudiments if you're a drummer. And it also could be a good idea to warm up your warm-up. This could also include stretching and breathing exercises, checking out your posture, and paying close attention to your hand and finger placement. Number two, scales and other abstract techniques. So those abstract techniques include things such as interval exercises, such as thirds, fourths, fifths, sixths, sevenths. Whether you hate them or love them, scales are a necessary part of every single practice routine. Acquiring a high level of skill and proficiency at scales and other abstract exercises can be accomplished in 7 ways. Let's go through them really quickly. Number 1, take a long-term approach. So instead of learning a particular scale at a particular speed over a few sessions, think of it as over a few weeks. Number 2, develop a routine. That could be anything such as a practice chart or a logbook to gauge your progress over time. Number 3, approach your scales as if they're tiny little miniature pieces. So the easy way of saying that is play them musically. Number 4, go for perfection. Now this may trigger a lot of musicians out there, but in my opinion, I love it when I'm confident and I play something and I know that it is not a coincidence. Number 5, please use a metronome and tuner. No more to say about that. Number 6, always start slowly and gradually increase your tempo throughout your progression. Number 7, apply practice rhythms. I'll make a whole nother video about that coming soon. All right, so the third thing you can add to your practice session are technical studies and etudes. At this point in your practice routine, you are fully warmed up and ready to go. And I'll just leave it as this. Etudes give you the skills necessary to have a voice on your instrument. Number 4, solo literature. So as a musician that practices all genres, this includes any type of literature. I'm a big believer in moving forward as a musician. So for me, that can include anything such as working on a masterwork on my clarinet to learning giant steps on the saxophone or flute. I think it's very important to always be pushing the boundaries and learning as much music as possible, especially that standard literature for whatever instrument that it is that you play. And number 5, this is probably the most critical skill you can have as a musician, and that is sight reading. You should always devote a portion of time in your practice routine to practice sight reading. Additionally, it should be ideally above your current level of playing. I would typically say most music is not a waste of time to practice, but if you're practicing sight reading and it's something that you know that you can play and you probably played a million times before, you're honestly wasting your time. And a couple more important tips when it comes to sight reading. Always start slowly, just like everything else in music. And please resist the urge to repeat those passages. Do not stop. In the real world, on the bandstand or wherever it is that you're playing, the band will not stop with you and go back. So try to do the best you can and moving forward, or that way forward, when you sight read. And last but certainly not least in my list of things to add to your practice routine is deliberate practice. So deliberate practice actually applies to all of the things I mentioned. It involves the ability to constantly monitor yourself and see where you can improve. Playing a scale or playing an etude or passage and then asking yourself, was my first note sharp? Well, why was it sharp? and how can I fix that the next time I play it? In my honest opinion, more musicians should take the time to learn how to analyze themselves. So you should probably record your practice sessions as well and include this in your practice time. So once you're done physically practicing, take the time to listen or listen the next day and ask yourself what went wrong. Or honestly, for your mental health, you could probably ask yourself what went right as well. Move on to why it happened, why you played it right or why you played it wrong. And think about the ways that you can repeat that exercise of what you did, playing it correctly or incorrectly, and how to fix it or how to maintain it. All of these things we talk about with deliberate practice applies to everything in music. So make sure you deliberately hit the like button, deliberately subscribe if you haven't done so, if you want to see more videos on music, and I'll see you in the next one.